Per the Colorado Constitution, the clerk and recorder is the clerk to the Board of County Commissioners, and they are the registrar of deeds. They have the statutory responsibilities to be an agent for the Department of Revenue, motor vehicles, mobile homes, construction equipment, titling and registration, and they handle marriage licenses. They are the county designated election official. All of that's going to get cut when the staff is working 6 hours a day. And I'll tell you another story. Well, I'll tell you now before I forget it, because I do that. If Larry and I get cut from 8 to 6 hours a day, right now, he arrives on the morning shift at 7 to open the building, leaves at 3. I stay till 5:30, so I don't get there till 9:30, plus I like sleeping in. Okay, and he and I overlap together between 9:30 and 3. And that's when we go to lunch and we do the things that are necessary. If they have a problem during those peak customer hours, and we need to go upstairs in the court or do whatever is necessary, which is a call for our law enforcement service, we go and the other one maintains the security of the building. Okay? We can do that. If they cut us to 6 hours, that's fine. Well, it's not fine, but that's the way it's going to be. But we still got to provide that building security for 10 hours because of the courts and the state offices that are in there, primarily the courts. We are not there to secure the courthouse. We are there to secure the courts. The easiest way to do that is to secure the building with 2 people at 1 door. So that's how that works, okay? But let's just say that, as frequently happens or occasionally happens, there's a call for service from us in the courts, and you're there by yourself, okay? The only alternative we have is to do this. Push the big red button behind our monitors, which will lock all the doors in the building. Nobody gets in, nobody gets out. We go take care of the problem. And while we're so committed, nobody gets in, nobody gets out. God forbid there should be a fire where we got all those doors locked because we're taking care of a problem because we only work 6 hours. Once we get that problem resolved, we bring the handcuffed person downstairs, we put them in a chair, they sit with us till the transport vehicles come from the police department or whomever, and then we can unlock the doors, and we're business as usual. In the meantime, we got a line of people who want to buy license plates on one of the 3 days that they're open. You see the problem? We can't continue to do that. Getting back to my point here, for the treasurer, Donna wanted to be here tonight, but she's out at conference, as I understand. Statutorily, she is the collector of taxes. She receives and pays all monies of the county. She maintains all accounts and record payments of the county. She has apportioned payments on all levied taxes. She maintains all bank deposits and may invest county funds. In 54 counties, they assume the duties of public trustee, receiving additional compensation, and that's what happens here. She is the county treasurer and the public trustee. The sheriff. I work for the sheriff. Statutorily, his job is to keep the peace, to keep and maintain the jail. That's not cheap. At any given time, there may be 2 detention officers on duty for 40 officers. That's a disaster waiting to happen, but that's what we're forced to do. He transports prisoners all day long, bringing inmates to court. Sometimes they go to Denver to get them, or go to Pueblo if they're juveniles or wherever they happen to be housed. They provide officers for the courts. They provide court security. That's me and Larry. He is the fire warden. He is the search and rescue director. He is the hazmat coordinator. He issues weapons permits. Constitutionally, and that's what his jobs and his responsibilities are. He can't do it with a reduced budget every year. And if he's bringing in his road people to cover for us, to help us, what does that do with what's going on in the county? They have reactive responsibility. They go put out fires when they get called. They're not able to do proactive enforcement. They don't have the manpower. So what happens to us? We get less law enforcement service in a rural county because we can't afford it, or we choose not to fund it. That's a better way to say that. It makes me feel less safe. I'm glad my mother doesn't live in a county anymore. Getting back to this point, the coroner, Mr. Berker, his constitutional responsibilities are to determine the cause and manner of death. His statutory responsibilities are to work with the federal and state agencies to pronounce death, investigate a scene. When he investigates a scene, he doesn't have reverse in his vehicle. If he drives up to a scene to pick up a body and he has to back up to it, he has to get out, put it in 4-wheel drive, then he has reverse, he can back up to it. Otherwise, he has to carry the body to where he's able to get his vehicle. and he can't afford to fix it because he doesn't have the money to do it. So that's the way he works. Improvise, adapt, and overcome. We do that. He is to take custody of the body. He's to make positive identification, notify next of kin. There's a toughie for the coroner. I've accompanied the coroner on the knocking on doors too many times. I went to the same lady twice, once to tell her about her brother and once to tell her about her daughter, on Christmas morning with the coroner. He protects the estate of the deceased. Had a motorcycle guy get killed up on the pass not long ago. Not a whole lot of property, a belt buckle, rings, jewelry, that kind of stuff. He packaged it all up pursuant to his statutory responsibility. Didn't have the funds to send it to the family, had to send it COD. How uncool is that? What does that do how does that represent Los Animas County? He issues death certificates and he conducts inquests, all of which are not cheap. He works alone, and he works without compensation right now. The assessor, my dear friend Jody, she has constitutional and additional statutory to discover, list, and classify all real and personal property using statistical modeling. She receives. Okay, we'll pause. I can drink. You can collect your breath. 10 minutes yet. Okay, I'll be done in 10 minutes. Jody also receives, considers, and recommends to the Board of Equalization all property value appeals and protests from county level to the state level. The surveyor, we have a county surveyor, Mr. Gary. He is statutorily required to represent the county in boundary disputes. Seems kind of appropriate. He files all surveys, field notes, calculations, and maps pertaining to the work of the county commissioners. He establishes coroner monuments in case of dispute, and he creates and maintains a land survey plat record files and an index system. Smaller elected officials, such as here, take on the additional duties of human resource, IT. We live in a computerized world. IT is a huge issue at the courthouse. Thank God for Hayden. 16-year-old kid, he's a whiz, but he can fix anything. The smaller county elected officials take care of vital statistics. We don't do driver's licenses, but we do payroll services and stuff. I can't tell you any more about how important it is for us to do that. Also, in the state of Colorado, there are 6 classifications of counties. We are classified as a Category 3, which means the state of Colorado establishes the pay for our elected officials. And because we are a Category 3, we have the ability to assess or access certain benefits by virtue of our level, okay? But the point is, many people on Facebook, well, those commissioners ought to take a pay cut. Well, yeah, they should, you might think. But they can't. It's not the county that decides, it's the state who decides what those pay rates are. All right? It's not like we're the ogre, we're the bad person at the county government. We are your friends, your family, your relatives, working their butts off for our collective benefit. Tom, how you doing on time?
6 minutes.
Okay, I'm done. I got a drink. Anybody have any questions of me now? You can't be that convinced. Maybe you are. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks.
Mr. Mattie, you were very eloquent in your presentation. I have to say that Los Animas County is very, very fortunate to have an advocate as yourself, because you have put in a lot of time, a lot of effort to put this information out. Information that's probably in a lot of cases new to me. I mean, I'm a lifetime resident of Los Animas County as well. I see things on a day-to-day basis that a lot of times I take for granted.
Thank you.
I think a lot of people take these things for granted, that they're there and just assume they will always be there, and without price tag.
I will advocate for my community, because it's me, to whomever, whenever, and wherever I can and need to. Over at the Meet the Candidates night, for those of you who were there, commented, I have a big mouth. I like to talk. I never met a microphone I didn't like. And I want to share with you what my beliefs are, which I don't think are all that dissimilar from your beliefs. We grew up here. We have core values that are the same. Thank you.
Thank you. Well,
And we have about 6 minutes before we have to change tape. After that, we're good to go. Legalize for whoever wants to speak.
okay.
Whoever you want allowed to speak. Thank you.
Okay.
We will allow anybody who has something to say to come and speak.
What I want to bring up is, I received my ballot the other day, and probably by, like you said, by tomorrow, there's going to be just about every district in the county will have their ballot. And so we're at a crucial juncture right now. We need to be able to get this information to people that have not orientate themselves to what this is all about. The hope and desire is that people are going to be cognizant of all these points that you've made, but a lot of them are not. So you, just by virtue of where your position in the courthouse, would you be willing, as people come through, and obviously you're there working...
Doing my job, yeah.
You're doing your job and securing the premises for the courts. But, you know, if it wouldn't be an inconvenience, and I think you're probably a great point person because of the information you provided this evening, if you could be that contact person at any particular time.
I see where you're going, and I'd be happy to do that so long as it doesn't conflict with election laws. Okay, one other point I wanted to make, real quick, before we run out of tape. Senior citizen centers, the one in Trinidad, my Uncle Albert and Mrs. Blatnick, heavily involved in the Kennedy Center in Segundo. The Senior Citizen Center in Aguilar, the one in Branson, the one in Kim. They used to be funded by the county, but those are non-essential services, those are nonprofits. Don't get any money anymore because we can't afford it. We should, but we don't. No longer does the county fund 4-H, the youth in our community. And the reason is we can't afford it. If not our youth, and if not our elderly, who are we here to serve? My point is, if the passage of when 1A passages, I would hope, having faith, it is my thought and hope that we will be able again to sustain funding for those senior citizen centers. So I'm 64, I am a card-carrying member of AARP, okay? But my point is, so that senior citizens will have something to do to occupy their time, to enjoy camaraderie with their friends in Segundo, so do ceramics, I don't know, to sit and drink coffee and BS and reminisce about when we had Pennies and Joltons and street paint stores and the things I told you about earlier. It's very important. Ed, thank you very much.
Thank you. One of the questions...
Ed, let's take a break right here, and let me